What is an unrealistic Yule fantasy or fetish that you have? An eldritch horror mommy that embraces me and tells me everything will be alright. Maybe not quite mommy depending your definition, but Ninami Inanis from Hololive could probably fill the eldritch horror telling you everything will be alright bit. Definitely public, but I am a rule follower and have way too much anxiety to ever act on anything like that. Lamau. I don't want to have public with you. The issue is not a lack of another willing participant. Don't message me. My first girlfriend and I would have fairly public since she was into it. Not quite full exhibitionist level because we'd probably get arrested for indecency or whatever, but like no more than 10 feet from public walkways with actual people we'd see or hear going by. Couple of times we're very nearly caught by security literally with our pants down. To the extent I enjoyed it, it was because I was with her as a Yule partner. But it didn't compare to being on a nice soft comfortable bed. The outside has plenty of bugs and rough surfaces. My fiancé and I ed while standing on a public hiking trail once. Didn't think anyone would show, but they could, and that's half the fun. Someone did, but we played it cool and had our clothes mostly on. Just played it off like we were making out and whipped our clothes on faster than the speed of light. Dude had no idea and just continued on his merry way as the rest of the group followed. What a rush, also made for some great when we got home since both of us were hungry from only making it halfway before on the trail. My ex and I literally had at Portage and Main in Winnipeg on a Sunday mid-morning. There's a wall at the intersection waist high and some shrubs in it for a bit of camouflage. We were both on rollerblades. She just pulled her shorts down and we did it from behind while traffic drove past. There were a couple of hunks, so I know we were seen. We would also frequent known parks and places where people were cruising, mostly guys, and put on a show whenever we could. Basically, I want to clone my husband. You see, he has a very particular set of S's he has acquired over a very long career, S's that make me wish he could be in 2 or 3 places at the same time. I saw all these people say a threesome, but they can't with their spouse. I was literally thinking these people could answer with a clone or like 2 of their spouse or something. I don't know, feeling validated here since someone else said something about it. Wanna get screwed in a 15th century style fantasy world by a rugged but sensitive man with a mysterious backstory who's been paid to escort me across the country. I'm a beautiful princess in a flowy green velvet dress, by the way. More things occurred in Game of Thrones than the Lannister incest twins, guys. I don't want to screw my twin brother. Princess Bride exists, haven't seen it in ages, and it's perfect. The guy's pretty much my type as well. Outlander was a good suggestion as well. Outlander is neat, but also current research shows that Highland Scotland was not as keen on domestic abuse as the show portrays, which boyfriend this was clarified after Gabaldon wrote her series. It's a great show with very steamy romance, but I'm also contractually obligated to mention that that's just how it was. Isn't actually accurate and is slander against a society that took the treatment of spouse and kin very seriously, especially by the standards of the day. I would like to know the difference between a female orgasm and a male orgasm. I'd like to be in a femme threesome with my fiancé, but I don't think I would like how that would affect our relationship. So it's nice to think about, but I wouldn't act on it. Women got like 250% of the better deal here. Male orgasms are tame in comparison, and that damn refractory period. I'd also like to know so that I can do an even better job with Yule partners. I'm sure the feelings are comparable, but I feel like knowing exactly how everything feels would be pretty helpful. I'm a trans woman who's experienced both sides of the orgasm. Testosterone orgasms feel really heavy and really fast. It's like shooting a gun or speeding down a road. It's a sudden burst of pleasure followed by a cool down. Estrogen orgasms are so much better. It starts in my thighs of all places and creeps across my entire body. Different spots will tingle and the orgasm will literally travel up my spine, causing me to arch my back. And then it doesn't stop because there are aftershocks that can be just as powerful as the initial orgasm. I am very satisfied, Lamau. I'm trans, female to male, and have experienced both since I am on testosterone and my orgasms are now way more alike male orgasms. Obviously, descriptions will not be the same as feeling it yourself, but I do still think I have a better understanding of it than most people. Honestly, Better orgasms are the one thing I miss about being a woman, but the positives are that now I can get off way easier, which is a fair trade-off to me. Before, orgasms were a lot more mental, and I had to be fully mentally in the mood to be able to get off. Now I can get aroused by just starting to physically touch myself, whereas before my whole mind had to be in it, and if I got distracted for a second, the whole mood would be ruined. I'm kind of starting to understand why some guys think foreplay is useless if this is how it feels for them. I just wish they would understand that many women won't have a fun time unless you build up to it. Before testosterone, orgasms had a long build-up, and I could sort of feel a buzzing euphoria in my whole body, like a wave through me. They lasted longer, and the afterglow could last many minutes or even half an hour. Now, orgasms are way more focused on just my genitals, but do feel more intense there. They aren't exactly less pleasurable, but it is a bit less dramatic now. Once I come, it's also very much "oh, I'm done now, moving on." The arousal leaves very quick, and the afterglow is way shorter, though I still think guys who use this as an excuse to leave their partner unsatisfied are losers. I don't have to be turned on myself to make my partner feel good. I was never really into multiple orgasms as it took way too much effort to be worth it, but now they feel straight up impossible. I just get way too sensitive to keep going right after. In the end, I think both have their downsides and upsides. Obviously, it's very individual, and some women get off really easily while some guys struggle with it. It's not the threesomes that everything up is usually the highlight. It's all the other bull people can't help but bring into it. This includes people who are all consenting or communicating and wally very open. Monogamy is vastly easier because there's just a ton less talking. Having said all that, I love femme threesomes. They're my favorite kind of group. I like the poly relationship drama better than monogamous drama. It's vastly more entertaining to say the least. Sure, it's cliché for a guy to like a threesome, but clichés are usually rooted in truth. I'd love to have a female orgasm. I have always wondered what that's like. By the way, not all guys have refractory periods. I've met a few multi-cummers that can just keep on going. That is wild to me. I'd love to be able to do that. My lady and I recently became polyamorous because we are in the prime of our lives and wanted to get out there and take advantage of it. Would recommend the femme threesome. If your fiancé has any bi-ual or bi-curious feelings, it could be strengthening to your relationship too. Allow her to explore that. Would recommend if you feel like you can have as much dating success talking to strangers as your partner, so you're not just like, damn, my lady's out here getting all this attention and I'm alone here, unless you're okay with that likely for most people situation. Honestly, though, I think that's only usually the case because I see so many hetero couples where the lady is leagues ahead of her fella attractive wise. I honestly believe that if guys just put in the effort that women do, then in my opinion there's no reason that men cannot be as inherently attractive as women. Anyways, you didn't ask, but that's my 2 cents. Not current, but there was one I had when I was younger that I realized wasn't healthy or should even be achievable. My younger self didn't get the memo that women weren't just a means to make yourself feel better or manage your self-esteem insecurities. My first serious girlfriend was bi-curious, and we had a few threesomes with her friends over a 6-year relationship. They almost always ended amicably with them going into a relationship, wishing them well. These started when I was 16, she was 15, and ended when I was 22 when our relationship did. One night, a friend we'd had a threesome with had just gotten out of a bad relationship while we had plans with someone we were having occasional with. We're all 18 minus 22. I was young still, living at home with my parents, so I rented a motel room, bought drinks, White Castle classy. This breakup friend brought a friend who we'd met a couple times who was bi-curious in the other direction, a lesbian who thought she might want to try a guy or at least not be uninvited to party with 3 other women. We all had a fun night, and a couple days later someone in the group chat made the joke of there being a blonde, newly single girl, brunette girlfriend at the time, redhead current playfriend, and black-haired lesbian bi-curious. For most people this would be enough, but I was deeply insecure. Also, I'm just a guy, definitely in better shape then, but was absolutely not able to give it my all with each participant, so make no mistake, I was not the stud this night called for. But my up-the-ante self at the time noticed each girl had a different zodiac sign. Also, I think this was 2008, maybe around when the movie of very different content came out, but it was deep in the zeitgeist. 4 girls, quarter calendar. I also realized that with a couple repeats, the other women we'd slept with over the years, left on good terms with who were not present, we had 10/12 zodiac signs. Only 2 more. Super unrealistic because hey, women are people, not conquests, but people with agency, feelings. Also, some had moved away, were in stable long-term happy relationships. My fantasy was to have a 13-some that I called the Zodiac. The group all went out to the Grab IHOP the morning after and all had a great time. To no one's surprise, when I pitched this idea a week after, when my ego was feeling especially big, my whiskey glass especially full, to the group chat, things went silent. So yeah, I as an overt insecure young man pitched an eyes wide shut level fantasy with costumes in place of who these women were as people that no one was into. The girlfriend and I broke up about a year later. I was Anne at that age and she deserved better. I've had threesomes since, bowled for a few couples, shared a few women who were into it with a roommate, currently married, and we've had a few play partners who are still good friends, but nothing since COVID, and I kind of prefer it that way. It's nice to have found the person you actually enjoy spending time with. So nothing approaching a 5-some, let alone the Zodiac. Don't get greedy, folks. Also treat people like people and not your American Pie Yule fantasy. Have with my teachers, professors. Unrealistic because I take my education very seriously, so strictly professional. But the thought is still very hot though. I made that fantasy come true. It was hot and on his office floor. He wasn't my professor anymore though, and had transferred from the community college where he was my teacher to a big university. I was in town for an event and went to see him. He knew exactly what I wanted and he gave it to me. Time machine and have with the girls that were into oblivious, younger me. There was a girl from the year below who I spoke to awkwardly once. She was incredibly hot. Fast forward 10 years and me and my mate are attempting to flirt with a couple of stunning girls out of our league in a club. All of a sudden one of them says my full name, then went on to say she had a massive crush on me at school. Then the penny dropped. It was her. I was both delighted and gutted at the same time. The next story worked out better though. I used to have a free lesson with the hottest girl in the year. Yes, all 17-year-old boys have at least the top 10 ranked. I used to chat to her and was surprised she would chat to an in-betweener like me. Fast forward 20 years, she messages me on Facebook. A month later, she was sitting on my face, and all I can think about is how surprised and delighted my 17-year-old self would be. I was lucky enough to later in my 20s have a few girls bump into me out drinking who told me that they had a crush on me, but they didn't want to say anything back then. I ended up sleeping with 5 of these girls who disclosed that information to me over the years, so we all got to fulfill those desires. Then there was the one who back in high school invited me back to her house to do homework. Yes, like a Ing movie. And I said nah, as I had already finished my homework and wanted to go skateboarding. My mate was livid at me because he had been trying to tune her for a while, didn't know this at the time, and he couldn't believe I turned her down. I didn't even know she was into me. Turns out I'm super oblivious to that sort of stuff, to the point I need it spelt out to me that a girl is into me. Oops. I look back at how girls would interact with me when I was younger and cringe at the shots I didn't take that were super obvious. Like the 2 very attractive women at the pub when I was 21 who offered me a threesome if I could get my mate to leave us alone. I did not take them up on their offer or the time a random chick just walked up to me and sat on my lap and started talking to me. I politely told her I was in a relationship, literally had just been dating my now wife for a few weeks, and asked her to sit on the seat, which she did. I kinda kicked myself for that one as she was beautiful. She literally took my breath away when I saw her, or maybe that was because I was being used as a seat, I don't know. But yeah, I still look back and see the times girls were trying to hint to me that they had a crush on me. Like the Kiwi girl who passed a note to me that said, "I heard you have a crush on me." And what did I write back? "No, I don't." Who said that? My love life back then could have been in an American Pie movie. Things have changed as I now have a wife and 2 kids. But if there is a parallel universe version of me who didn't find a woman or was still a virgin, I wouldn't be surprised. I think this goes back to when I was in college and was a ditzy sorority girl who wasted it on frat guys, even though I look back on my professors who were absolutely brilliant men that now. Ugh, I wish I could get with a guy like that. My fantasy at this point would be to still be that college girl with my nerdy, tweety, dorky professor. He's in a bow tie, a sweater, a lab coat, something. I have a very specific image where he can't be Yule, suave at all during class, but then he just stammers and gets nervous around me in office horse, and then I seduce him in front of the chalkboard, on his desk, or in the lab, and he turns out to be wildly talented at pleasing me. I know it would be perfection. One of the blue gals from Avatar. Is it acceptable to grab them by the tail? Would it be an analog to hair pulling in humans? Would they take a front like a normal animal does when a child yanks their tail? It's hard to tell because, outside of specific Yule moments, humans don't like having their hair pulled or being choked, etc. either. Do they have their own kinks that would terrify us? Maybe they're into taking you on a high-flying and carnal banshee ride. Maybe they're into dropping you 500 and then swooping in to safely catch you, because that's what gives them a blue endorphin rush. I guess what I'm getting at is, you're walking into a minefield, but good luck to you. Body swap, gender swap. As a gay dude, I'm low-key jealous of women. I'm sure living as a woman would come with unique struggles that I can't understand, but damn, I just want to be railed and not have it up the back door lamau. Y'all, I'm so drunk arn. When the did I get like 1,000 likes on a horny post. Update numero dos. I don't know what the proper way to say this is, but thanks for the awards, Fweens you. That after he's done, I'm covered in sweat and he's dripping out of me like a bad faucet. He pulls me against his side, smooths my hair back from my face, kisses me, and calls me a good girl. The first time my fiancé said good girl was after a really good orgasm. As soon as I finished, he slows down for a second, grabs the back of my head, kisses me while I'm still barely breathing, and moans good girl and got this little smirk. Holy, I came again right away and hard. He still brings it up sometimes and he's so proud. I pray my get big as the Eiffel Tower so I can the world for 72 hours. In Kendrick Lamar's Backseat Freestyle, Kendrick says the line, I pray my get big as the Eiffel Tower so I can the world for 72 hours. While at first, as big as the Eiffel Tower may seem to be a dong of immense magnitude, when taking into account the sheer size of Earth, the lucky one to be ed by this, we realize that it is not as spectacular as the young MC claims it to be. The Eiffel Tower stands at 1,063 feet, while the diameter of Earth is approximately 41.804 million feet. If Kendrick inserts his Eiffel into the Earth, his would only take up 0.0000 to 5% of the Earth's vagina. That is pathetic. Kendrick is nodding the world for 72 hours with his Eiffel Tower micro. The Earth will get bored after 10 minutes and finish herself with a vibrator the size of Argentina. Be better, Kendrick. Having Yule intercourse with the moon. You don't understand. Since mankind first looked up at the skies, he has dreamed of having with them. See, the myth of Tithonus. We have learned, with great sadness, that we cannot the sky. We will not be the peerless hero who deflowers the virgin sun or the lady of the moon. We cannot even make love to the stars. But we hope that there will be living creatures who dwell in the stars. We hope that we can reach them and find friendship, that our species is not the sole intelligent life alone in all the heavens, growing ever more maddened by its isolation. No, that we cannot accept. There must be others. And when we find them, we will have with them. Their blood may be acid and they may breathe poison, but we will have with them. They may have clawing razors for genitals and limbs that would crush our human frames as easily as we can crush a baby's skull, but we will have with them, and you can count on it. How, you ask? You are like the early caveman who asked Thoguclacala how when he said he would fight a saber-toothed tiger and win. You do not understand what it is to be human, to wish to have with the sky and cuddle with the stars, to want to travel to distant worlds and their strange female analogues, to wish to hunt the giant saber-toothed tiger and walk away, to wish to be the little girl. These are things that we cannot do with our bodies alone. If we find aliens, we will have with them, just as we soar across the sky, just as we travel to the moon, just Thog hunted the saber-toothed tiger at the dawn of man. We will have with them, no matter what difficulties we may face along the way. We will have with them, because if it comes down to it, we'll build a machine to have with them. In the middle of a large crowd at a concert that turns into a massive orgy while the band keeps playing. In the middle of a show of Stradivarius 20 years ago. People only wearing black, the place crowded and dark enough to be more naughty. I was behind my girlfriend at the time and started fingering her. She decided to retribute and grabbed my. We were a bit drunk and things got way too hot with the whole vibe, music, etc. So I lifted her skirt and we started to have while people were dancing and jumping around us. On one moment Timo Cotapelto just came closer to the crowd, put his foot on those big speakers in front of the stage and started one of those long high-pitched notes reaching to the climax of the song, and it seemed he was looking at us. My mind was just like, it all reading doing it and I am not gonna stop bro. Immemorable. 10/10 would do it again. I wish to be a slave girl, put up on the market to be sold and purchased by a master. He loves for me and cares for me, giving me purpose in life as his slave, while my purpose is to serve him with my all and whole being, to be his adoring concubine, slave girl, as he rewards me for my devotion to him in mind, body, and soul by making me his prime woman. I never get freed, the thought never crosses my mind, but I do not desire it, nor does he wish it, as my eternal servitude and his worthiness as a master are the rewards I desire. Completely unrealistic, and I am extremely well informed as to the horrors of real-life slavery and how abusive such a relationship would be in reality among a multitude of other problems. But that's why this is a fantasy fetish. I would never even consider trying to make it a reality. I'm a guy, and while I also do like men, I prefer a caring woman to serve Lamau. Honestly, like my perception of self-worth and purpose is so warped, like if anyone gives me a crumb of attention and time of day, it'd be pretty damn easy for me to try and give everything for them. Plus, being a house husband sounds nice, so I can stop thinking and stressing and worrying so much. I'm only just about to get out of college and I'm exhausted with life. So you basically just want a good husband that provides for you, since the slavery you described doesn't include any downsides of being a slave. Sounds like you'd still be free to do whatever since he cares about you and wants you to be happy. It isn't unrealistic at all in that regard, or, at the very least, it's as unrealistic as finding love, since it's just a good marriage where you're the housewife. It skips the steps of having to search and work for love, so I get it though. You don't really have to worry about having to live your own life since it now belongs to someone else, and you don't really have to do anything since you're being forced into a perfect life. Sounds pretty chill actually now that I look at it. Someone pleasuring me because they want to pleasure me. My life with my past relationships was always as soon as she finishes, the is done. I'm tired of being the dominant one as in the one who takes charge, initiates it, and finishes partner, but partner doesn't return effort. I partially have this problem. My wife will typically get me off while we're getting intimate, more often than not just masturbating next to each other, but I can tell it's not because she wants to, but rather because she feels she has to. I'll rub up and down her body, give her kisses, play with nipples, eat her out, talk dirty to her, all that. Then she'll grab my and start tugging, seeming like she's doing a chore. I like butt stuff, but there's a vast difference between the pleasure of being teased on your butt and having someone just try and jam their finger in there to get you off ASAP and be over it.